Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the ego death. What is that? Why is it mandatory to hit the next level? Watch this video. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, please click the little subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications when I release new videos. And if you've been with me for a while, thank you so much and welcome back. Today, we're going to dive into this ego death. It scares a lot of people. Does it mean I have to lose myself? Am I going to miss part of myself? Am I going to have to give up my material belongings? What does this mean? It is mandatory to go through layers of an ego death if your goal is enlightenment, consciousness, awareness, to live in the 5D. You have to go through it. And what I want to say is, I was a person that was like, no way, not getting rid of my ego. My ego helps me survive. My ego got me out in the world. My ego gives me confidence, right? Thank God I didn't have a choice, to be honest with you, because I guess before I signed up in this lifetime, I said I just want to go into as much enlightenment and awareness as I possibly can. I want to teach about this stuff, which means I got to live this stuff. So this is what happened to me. I have multiple friends right now and clients going through what I would call mini ego deaths. And it's so interesting. I had a girlfriend last night sort of explain to me her process. And I was like, yep, that's what's happening. And she was saying how she notices now, we've done enough talking, she notices now that when her ego stuff, like her house or a car, her boyfriend, things like this have left, right? When this stuff gets triggered, she wants it back, right? Because that's our power. Our ego is our false power until we reconnect with our inner guidance and realize, holy shit, nothing is really wrong with me. I'm totally capable. I deserve abundance. Like, until we do the inner work and get there, we survive on that ego band-aids, right? Like the ego is the one that steps up and says, I'm going to take care of things. And that's what happens. So when the ego is in charge, not so great because we're not fulfilled. We're kind of living this surface lifestyle, but we all need an ego. It just needs to know its place. So when it gets put in its place, what that often looks like is the death of things that you held on to, were attached to in order to feel enough, in order to feel safe. And they're all external things. For me, a lot of my journey was I lost my home in a fire. Then I lose my dog. Then I go through a divorce. Then I move to another state after being in one for 22 years. All the things that I loved, felt safe with, identified with, and felt comfortable in, all left me within the span of 2 years. That wasn't fun. But what I noticed looking back is I knew during that process I was fine. In fact, I felt really strong, which a lot of my clients thought were weird because they were with me during that time. They're like, how are you working with what's going on right now? I'm like, it actually gives me life. Because who I started to notice who I was in all those losses was intact. I noticed I was projecting the safety, projecting the power, projecting the love onto objects when actually it was mine to claim and I can put it wherever I want. Ultimately, what happened after that trauma was I got a new house and a new puppy. Hate to say it took me a while because my dog was my soulmate. But I did get another puppy, and that puppy is never going to take the place of my soulmate dog, but it's awesome too. And what I noticed is that love that I had for my puppy is now within me. It became part of me that I get to give to the new puppy, that I get to give to whoever comes along. You find new love, you find new comfort in your new town, whatever it is. You start to realize, holy cow, the conditions can fade. The ego attachment can fade. But what you realize when you lose the things you're attached to is there's a new thing called connection. Those attachments are just things you've constructed to feel externally safe. When those externals leave and you're still okay, you start to realize you're starting to live unconditionally. I teach this a lot in my courses because I've had to live it. And it was gnarly when I was going through it, but I was ready. We're never given anything we're not ready for, right? Even though it's a challenge. But it challenged me to open myself up to new things. It's when I built my first 12-week course that was highly successful. And then I built another one, and now I'm building a third 12-week. And this starts going because everything that we go through when our ego is dying, we can use for our wisdom. Here's the thing. The ego is kind of a one-track mind. I need this is how it's going to go. The wisdom is it can go anyway and I'm still fine. The wisdom is regardless of you, I'm still me. The wisdom is I'm not my ego. I'm something much higher. But I need my ego sometimes to do this and this and this, right? But who I am is not my ego. That's the ego death. We think we're our ego until we realize our truth, our true self. We have to do a lot of inner work to get there because what the ego does is say, avoiding that, gonna go just get all these pretty things, do this stuff, right? When it starts to die, you start to realize that you actually start to rebirth. You start to become alive in a way that used to scare you. People who have really big egos, I was one of those people at one point in time, are people who've had their ego really broken. Their true self, their identity, their authenticity was in question, was shamed. They thought they were bad. They thought they weren't enough, right? A lot of us have that story. So we develop this ego, this false confidence. It's going to carry me around, but it doesn't really know how to fulfill me because it's not my heart center. And when the ego starts to die, the gift is at your heart center. You have no choice. You have to start living from your authenticity. Well, now I'm humble. I'm losing things. I was, for me, brought down to the bare of who I was. And I was like, okay, this is who I am. It's kind of what happens to people when they become really ill. They have no choice but to take care of themselves. They need to care for themselves. When your ego is dying, you have no choice but to be real. That's what shows up. And what's so cool about it, you guys, is when you do experience that, you realize that what is real was not only enough, but actually far greater than any ego identity you could ever try to attach to. It's such this duality that we fight it, but we want it. And so back to this girlfriend who was telling me last night, Candace, I want these things again because I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm in a weak spot. I said, okay, I understand that. And that's not wrong that you want those things. But as you can probably remember, the thing that you really want was never in those things. But here's the thing. We don't realize how to go find ourselves after that. We're afraid we won't be enough. So we don't want to go to ourselves. We want to go to other. That's one of the biggest patterns that happens. So I was telling her last night, don't jump to another guy. Don't jump to another whatever. Sit in yourself and look at the parts that feel not enough. Look at the parts that are wanting to attach to something. Look at those parts and ask questions. Get curious, get intimate, and say, what is it about me that I'm running from? Is it the truth of me, or is it this misidentification, this misbelief, this bullshit I bought into because someone was threatened by my existence or didn't know their own? Start asking these scary questions because they're not scary. They're enlightening. And at the end of the day, when we realize that we'll always have an ego, it just needs to integrate and find its place, right? So we call it the death of the ego. When the ego starts to die, the truth of who you are starts to rise. Don't be afraid of it. The fear we have of the truth of who we are is that someone at some point told us it's not okay and it's not enough. But you will find, I guarantee, each one of you will find that that is the lie. And most people don't want to find that lie out because then they feel upset and they feel like resentment and regret. But no, you did the best you could until you could do better, which is right now. And better means owning and claiming and loving the truth of who you've always been. That guiding light will create a life beyond your wildest dreams because it's one that only you could create. But you have to have the courage to trust your own self and your own journey and your own heart. I hope this message finds you well. I hope you'll share this with at least one other person who you think might benefit from it. I want to let you know emotional rehab is open right now. That's healing codependency and inner child wounds. Shadow work is open right now. That is healing the mother wound, the father wound, and all the golden shadow that you need to be claiming to be standing in your purpose. Boundaries Bootcamp is going to be launching in a month, so get on that wait list. All links below. I hope to see you guys soon. Namaste.